Let's talk about this continental garden idea, that they were treating the continents as their own garden. Now in South America, they find ceramics in the soil, little pieces of ceramic. Millions and millions and millions of these little pieces of ceramic. They don't really know why they're in there, but it's worth considering and trying to figure it out, because they were obviously masters of the soil in that part of the world, that's for sure. So the terracing we've mentioned before. Now when terracing was introduced in China, the people who were operating and running the dynasty at that time introduced terracing. Now that ties into corn and the sweet potato, which is unrelated to the potato, but those two were really world-changing foods and were being grown in the 1500s all around the world. As early as that, they're both very forgiving in terms of where they will grow and how they will grow, but terracing and those two foods were introduced to China, and within 200 years their population doubled, and is one of the turning points. They had a lot of land that was not workable for these peasants, and as again, when people don't have enough food, the cultures don't tend to thrive and grow as much. When populations grow is when there's lots of food. And so up in the mountains they were able to introduce terracing, and these foods can grow with less rainfall. If the rainfall is poor, if the soil's poor, the conditions, it's a lot more forgiving. The roads we mentioned before, they transforming the land, if you can, with trails and roads. Their water control was an example of use of the continent as well. A lot of the orchards, ancient orchards in South America are considered to be, or a lot of the fruit that's growing wild is considered to be ancient orchards that were grown by civilizations in the distant past. Now in North America, burning of the woods was a very common practice and led really to some of the pristine wilderness myths that we have today, because when the indigenous started getting wiped out, this burning of the woods didn't take place anymore. But there's many comments from the early Europeans how you could drive a carriage through some of the woods that they had. So they burned on a continuing basis, and this did a lot of things for the ecology as well. It wasn't just for convenience. It was to keep down fires. It was to keep down bugs. It was to control the undergrowth in the forest. And they were involved with harvesting trees as well, and it tied in with that sometimes too. Now animal husbandry, they didn't have domesticated animals. They had the turkey, and in South America they had the llama and the alpaca. But camels and horses, the last few had died off in the last ice age, and so there's only 38 domesticatable animals in the world, and the Western Hemisphere didn't get their fair share of that, so that maybe that's what led to them doing so much from growing food, possibly. Anyway, in parts of North America, they did have a form of animal husbandry, which was creating plains for the buffalo to move. So over a period of even generations, burning woods and creating plains so the buffalo could come closer, and then their hunting would become easier for them. So the untended land, the pristine wilderness myth, they certainly had a balance that they tried to create in North America with their herds and with the fish, and they considered the animals at all times, whereas Europeans, they needed gaming laws right off the bat, not because of big populations. They were killing off the deer. They would just kill them for kicks. The indigenous in North America definitely considered the animals all the time in whatever they were planning.